again, we gotta throw and catch better, and that's pretty obvious.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
You know, I don't like this word. That was Bush Hampton talking about what the offense needs. He used the word methodical. I got to tell you, to me, the word methodical is a four-letter word in sports. It really is. Jimmy, peruse your cranium. Can you think of a top 25 team today that is winning with a methodical offense? Methodical. I could throw up. And by the way, I'll tell you in a second why I'm not mad at Bush. But let's go to Jimmy first. Let me say good afternoon. I'm Alan Cutler, honored and pleased to be with you. Honored and pleased you're with me now live somewhere in the country or in central Kentucky, or podcast tonight, podcast tomorrow, those kinds of things. Methodical. Jimmy, you played football. Do you ever remember, let's expand this to your vast horizons. I have never, in recent memory, I'm not talking about the 60s, 3 yards in a cloud of dust and those kinds of things in the boring offenses before the forward pass really became big. Since the forward pass became big, okay, how many teams have won a national championship with methodical offense? Methodical. I mean, I want to throw up. Can you imagine spending all that money on season tickets and say, hey, guess what? You're going to come to see methodical offense. It sucks.
I couldn't agree more. That you don't want to be. Now, you should have methodical drives throughout games every single week. Yeah, you want methodical drives, but the only team that jumps out, and I don't even know if methodical is right, they just ran the ball a lot, was when Michigan won the national championship with J.J. McCarthy. There was games where they ran the ball like 32 straight times, but that was more just pound, not methodical. Yeah, you're right. Methodical's not as a general scope for your whole offense. Again, not particular drives. That's not. It's not going to sell tickets. It's not going to be exciting.
It says we're not good enough.
Yeah.
Now, I'm with you 1,000%, by the way. Methodical drive, I'm okay. 5 minutes left in a game, you're up by 3 points, you do a methodical drive, you're trying to ice the clock, those kinds. God bless, that's great. More power to you. But think about it. Everybody who has a season ticket who loves Kentucky, you spent all this money to watch methodical. I am sorry. It bothers me. It gives me a bad taste in my mouth. It's awful. And by the way, before you chomp on Bush Hampton, and you do whatever the hell you want, but before you chomp on him, he believes this is the only way they can win. That in itself is sad, not because of Bush, but because of the talent here. So what I said yesterday was, if this season ends up falling down the tubes, what I would do, Mitch, you want to let me have your job? I'll take your salary. I would sit down with Stoops. I wouldn't fire him. I would first say, here's the deal. You don't have a choice. You're changing the philosophy of the offense, period. You don't want to do it? We're going to change it for you, or you can leave. That's honestly how I feel. It's how I feel. Because enough of this. Methodical. Jimmy, can you think of a word in sports that delineates not being successful more than methodical? There's got to be a word. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Maybe it'll come to me later. Do you have something? You go into AI now to come up with a word that's worse than methodical? I mean, it makes me want to throw up. It kind of tells me that you're just hanging on, baby. Let's hang on and be methodical. Now, if you have the world's greatest offensive line or one of the top 5 offensive lines in the country, could methodical work? Yes. That comment isn't ripping this line, although I thought the line stunk on Saturday. I just did. I expected more of them. They didn't help Cutler. Cutler wasn't perfect. The line, I thought, in my opinion, was worse. You can think otherwise. God bless. It's all good. It's all good. And there were wide receivers that weren't open. That was a problem, too. Jimmy, you got a word worse than methodical? I've given you some time to look it up. You're shaking your head. Come on. You got something, brother?
I can't think of one that, in just especially for a football team, where it's trying to be positive, but you look at it and you're like, that's not what, that doesn't mean what you think it does for the team.
Methodical.
I can't think of one that's just more demeaning than anything, where it's like, yeah, it's not. I don't feel great about methodical. Cool, it's better than being bad, I guess, but barely.
I liked how you used demeaning. That was a good choice, Jimmy. It's demeaning. It's demeaning to the players. It's demeaning to fans. I don't know how it's demeaning to the sports talk show host. I think that might be a little stretch. Does it bother you? For some reason when Hampton said that word, and Stoops has said the same thing too, but it just bothered me more than Bush because, as he says, it's his job to figure this out. I think Bush is struggling. I really do. And I'm not saying he's not smart enough to figure this out. I think he had no idea how hamstrung he was going to be. I just feel that. He's never going to say it. And I got to tell you, I look at Bush when he comes out to talk to the media. I actually think he enjoys going to the dentist more than talking to the media. And by the way, I think the media has been kind to him, actually. Jimmy, I don't know if you saw the tape. I think I mentioned yesterday there was a young reporter who basically argued with James Franklin. It was interesting. And you know what? His first comeback, I didn't mind at all. But the second one, I thought he was out of line. You could be out of line in a press conference. I think you should be able to ask any question. I think there should be a certain tone of voice. I think you should show respect. I don't think you should kiss anybody's you know what. And that young man showed he was bad. He was bad. Neither here nor there. I don't want to get on that tangent. It bothers me. It just bothers me. We're going to go to the Reds and then we'll go back to UK. Let me set up the show. John Hale does a wonderful job covering Kentucky for the Herald Leader. Will be joining us at 12:30. Then Gene Abel will join us at 1 o'clock. Retired longtime sports editor of the Lexington Herald Leader. Also no filter. And then at 1:30, y'all remember Aaron Gershon? He used to work for the Cat's Paws, now a sports information director in Florida, and he's watching the games. And I had said to Aaron, if you're going to watch the games, I'd love to have you on. It's great. Let me know. So he's coming on at 1:30. To the Reds. I have to be honest. I shut the TV off when it was 6-0. I just did. And I said yesterday that I thought they had a better chance, and a lot of people thought, no, I didn't think they were going to win. And I said that. I couldn't pick the Reds to win, not with the Dodgers lineup, but if Green pitched well, I really liked the bullpen, and I thought they had a better chance. Green was bad. Okay, Shohei hits the home run right out of the gate, and it got to Green. But I got to tell you, some of the pitches that were hit for home runs were lousy pitches. There was more in Green than the batters. I mean, the second one by Hernandez, Jimmy, I thought it was batting practice. He just kind of swung through it. It was like a fast batting practice pitch. Green had a bad day. I wonder if it got to him. And, you know, I get I'm not a pitching coach, but I've watched a lot of baseball, and there was a pitch he threw, I don't know, third inning, fourth inning, whatever, he's down, that kind of thing. He hit 101, and I thought he was overthrowing. I thought he was ticked at himself, ticked at the situation. And one of the things I think he has to be careful of, he needs to pitch, not overthrow. He's had injuries. And I think he got into some bad habits during the game. Come on, local kid, starting, all that kind of thing. I get it. He was bad. That's just the way it was. And that was the best opportunity I thought the Reds had, because tonight, on paper, looks terrible. Look, Zach Luttrell has done a nice job. 10-8 overall, 3.81 ERA. If he's, deeper in your starting rotation, and one of the reasons why he's starting tonight, because it's his day. But I think he's done a really nice job. He pitched 5 good innings against the Dodgers last time, but they're going against Yamamoto. Now look at it this way. Jimmy, would you say at least 2/3 of the teams in the major leagues, he would be your ace? He would be your number one starter?
Yeah.
Is it higher than 2/3? I think it is, actually. I'd have to look at rosters and stuff like that. But I think it's actually more. He's only 12-8, but his ERA is a microscopic 2.49, in the same neighborhood as Snell and Green going into last night. In today's world, when you got an ERA under 3 and you're 2.49, and you're not even the starter on the first night, wow. Oh, and by the way, he's also struck out 201 batters. So right now, the Reds are in trouble. Jimmy, cue up Bruce Sutter. Brent Sutter. I'm thinking of Bruce who saved a million games for the Cubs. My bad. And he's the young guy from Cincinnati, and I like him a lot. And he's great with impersonations. And he's the one that had the expression, "You can't kill us. You can't kill cockroaches." Though that was all him. And he's as positive as anybody's you're going to find. And you expected him to say something positive after the game. And my buddies at Fox 19 did this. This is Joe Danneman, really good dude. He's been a good sportscaster for a long time. He used to trade stuff, that kind of thing. This is Joe Danneman with Suter after the Dodgers beat the Reds to take the lead in the series 1-0, and the Dodgers won 10-5.
Yeah, I feel like our back's been against the wall for about 2 months now, so this is where we thrive. This is our comfortability. This is where cockroaches hide out, and we're going to adopt that mentality and come out tomorrow with all hanging out and put our best foot forward out there and see what happens. But, man, we made that a game. That could have been a laugher, and we put some pressure on them and had basically the tying run on deck multiple times. So kudos our offense staying in there, putting great ABs together, putting pressure on them. They did a good job with the bats. You got to give the Dodgers some credit. They hit some good pitches out. They hit some bad pitches out, but they put some good swings on balls. It's very good offense, and we got to do a better job pitching tomorrow. But this is where we thrive this year with our backs against the wall. So I totally expect we come out and play real good baseball tomorrow.
You love that line where cockroaches hang out. And, come on. We all listen to sound bites. Fortunately and unfortunately, I listen a lot more than you guys do, where, people talk about chemistry and it's so good and this and that. Sometimes it's just BS and a bunch of blank, 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 blank. In this case with the Reds, I really believe it. I really do. And I think they'll come out fighting. I don't, Jimmy, I don't know how they're going to score 5 runs against Yamamoto. I just don't. So it's not looking good. Not at all. But you know what? They made the playoffs. That's step one. And Snell, pitching for the Dodgers last night, he looks so comfortable. I tell you who he reminded me of. This is, if you don't know the name, Jimmy, I'm good with it. Did you ever hear Whitey Ford?
Yes.
One
Pitcher,
of the great,
right?
Yeah, one of the great Yankee pitchers of all time. Now, Snell, his fastball throw is much better than Whitey Ford. But I'm watching the game last night, and I'm going, he's really a crafty lefty with kind of a sneaky fastball. I mean, he was getting the Reds to chase. He does a really good job of throwing the ball off the plate, but it looks good, and the Reds were swinging. Now, maybe they were nervous. Could be. I tend to think it was less nerves and more for the fact he's that good. The ball looks like it's going on the outside part of the plate, and it's off. And he got them swinging at a bunch of balls. It's a credit to him. He's getting a ton of money, and guess what? He's worth it. When you can come in with an ERA of now 2.57 and you give up 4 hits and 2 runs, only 1 walk, strike out 9, and he's your ace, man, that is damn good. That is so good, it's ridiculous. So I'll watch the Reds tonight. I'll watch the Yankees tonight. Yankees lost 3-1. And I got to tell you, they didn't deserve to win. You got bases loaded in the 9th inning. What is the record? I saw something about this, but it's like crazy that to have, bases loaded, nobody out? Is that what it was? Or was I half asleep when I was watching it and they couldn't score a run at all? You really suck.
Yeah, they're the first team in Major League Baseball history to have bases loaded with nobody out at the bottom of the 9th, not score a run, and lose the game.
That's unbelievable. And Boston basically won the game because they hit singles and they took extra bases. As a matter of fact, you know what I would do? Seriously? I would take the clips, and Boston's not the only team that does this, the clips of what Boston did to win the game, and I would show it to the Reds in spring training. This is how you have to play. When you hit a line drive base hit, you are running as soon as you take your first step, and you take the extra base. And not all their guys are fast, but they will take the extra base, and they hustle their fannies off. This is sacrilegious. I hope there's nobody I know in New York listening, because I know every now and then there are some folks who listen. Not that I know a bunch of people in New York anymore, but I got to tell you, Boston, the way they play baseball, it's better than the Yankees. It just is. It just is. Whew. Crazy, 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 crazy. Yankees sucked. They're going to lose again. They're going to be talking about you know what. They're going to be talking about Boone being fired. But I got to tell you, outside of Stanton, the way the Yankees are put together, who else can't take an extra base? Seriously. And I'm not saying they're lazy. I am saying they're not aggressive enough. And what I'd wish for the Reds, because too many times they suck with runners in scoring position, they swing too hard. What were the Red Sox doing last night? They were just trying to get base hits. That's it. They were just trying to get base hits, and they did. There was nobody swinging hard enough to get a home run with the base hits they put together. None. Zero. Kaput. None. It's smart baseball. It's really smart baseball. All right, let's go to Cutler. We're popping up and back here, which I often like to do. Cutler spoke yesterday. It is Tuesday. And both Bush and Cutler, and sometimes one or two others, depending upon who the media asks for, will talk. And then defense talks on Wednesday. It's been going on for a long time. And I got to tell you, I appreciate how Kentucky does it, that they give you Stoops on Monday, defense Wednesday, offense Tuesday. Because I got to tell you, not every team gives you that much access. And there used to be more access, and I get it. But I hope the media appreciates that. But let me give you a little thing about how where an organization sucks, okay? I'm not ripping Indiana because it's Kentucky, Indiana. I really don't care about that stuff. But there's a certain part of what I call a relationship that is supposed to go both ways. In other words, if a media has a question to ask, you ask it. And there are certain things the media wants to do. I get it when a school won't allow you to do it. That's okay. But when you invite the media up to Indiana for a media day kind of deal and for interviews and stuff like that, and you won't even let them shoot with TV cameras or somebody online any footage at all. I mean, it's disrespectful for the media. It really is. And by the way, I get it. You can't have all the practices open and stuff like that. And I was talking to Kendrick Haskins about it last night. Kendrick was on the show yesterday. Dear friend from Wave TV, and I don't think he'll mind me saying this. It's not that big of a deal. Like, this is a great, deep, dark secret. And he was telling me that they wouldn't let him shoot anything. And by the way, you know what he said? Kentucky is more open than Indiana and Louisville. You know, you're in Louisville. You got to cover all three because you got fans in all three areas and alumni in all three areas. And that becomes a little difficult because it's a longer drive to get to, cover Indiana. It's a little more difficult, that kind of thing. But you go up media day, Jimmy, they wouldn't even let him shoot 10 minutes. And I got to tell you, if you're a good photographer like Kendrick, or there's a lot of good photographers, you give them 10, 15 minutes, even if they're shooting free throws and stuff like that. I get it if they're working on some deep, dark plays that you don't want the media to shoot. I get it. But it's just disingenuous. I mean, the media needs to clap back. Media needs to be fair. Media needs to be honest. Kentucky doesn't do this. And I would say same about Kentucky if they did it. As Kendrick said, just give me one open practice, and that'll give me enough cover for what I need for the year, because you can change shots around, move shots around. They go all the way up there to get a couple of interviews, and they can't get any cover, any video at all. That just sucks. Indiana, you suck by doing that. You just do. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I'm serious as a heart attack. A school shouldn't kiss the media's blank, and the media shouldn't kiss the university's blank. But there should be something in a relationship that shows some fairness and honesty and respect that the other person has to do a job. Jimmy, is that fair? Or do you think that's unfair? And one more, Jimmy, before I get it. If you don't want the media around 20 times a year, I get it. I really get it. It's okay. But let people do their job. And you know what it does? And this is the part of somebody in sports information in Indiana or the coach being clueless. Why tick somebody off on either side for no damn reason? And what was it going to do? I can't believe I'm doing this rant. It wasn't even in my notes. What would it do if you would let the people who cover Indiana shoot for 10 minutes? I'm not doing for an hour, 10 minutes. Because if you're good, you can get a lot of stuff in 10 minutes. And you can fake voiceovers and stuff like that. Now you have an anchor standing there going through a soundbite or using last year's footage. It's disingenuous. It's dumb. Shame on you, Indiana. Is there something about I'm saying it's right? It's a relationship thing. You're saying, I don't respect you. You suck. I'm going to make your job more difficult.
I feel like that's something with you being in the business for so long that you realize most, I would have never even thought about that with allowing it for a certain time. But it does, they do that in other sports, like the NFL, or I'm assuming college, same way, there's media availability, that you can go to and film any part of practice. But then they cut it off. The media is not there and able to film all of it. Like you said, just 10 minutes, and that seems to be easy enough. Just let the guys warm up. That's all you need.
Yeah, basically the shots are, and that's exactly what it is, Jimmy. You're going to go into an NFL and you get 10 minutes and the guys are doing nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, they're stretching, this, that, and the other, and then they cut you off. And I get that. Because if they're hiding an injury or something and they want to protect, and plus at a certain point, you have some game footage that you shot, those kinds of things. It's just, I shouldn't spend so much time on it. It just ticks me off when they purposely go out of the way to screw you. Relationships are supposed to be both ways. Okay. You know what I'm telling myself now, Jimmy? I need to shut up about this and move on. It just ticks me off. A lot of the relationship problems between the media and schools. Oh, no. I almost slipped. What do I say I won't do on the show? Talk politics. It's close.
Don't do it.
No, I'm not going to. Whew. I'm actually proud of myself that I caught myself. Let's go to Cutter Bowley. How about that? And by the way, in the open, has anybody caught the fact, and maybe you heard it the other day, and it just cracked me up that Chris Chenault, I love Chris Chenault. He's so good on radio and as a friend talking, he doesn't hold back. And he slipped. Come on, I've slipped. So if you think I'm chopping on Chris, forget about it. But he said instead of Cutter Bowley, he did it on two different occasions, didn't he, Jimmy? Wasn't it two different shows?
I couldn't remember if it was him or if it was Van that was saying Cutler. Maybe it was Chris Chenault both times.
No, it was Chris. No, I'm sure it's Chris, but I think he did it twice.
Yeah, he did.
He said Cutler Bowley. So now, if he throws 3 touchdown passes against Georgia and they beat Georgia, I'll like it. But if he has a bad game, I'm kidding. I really like Cutter. Okay, let's go to Cutter. And I got to tell you, the kid has a great attitude. He really does. He really does. One of the bites we have to play today, it's 12:24. We'll probably play it second and then play it some other time about where he got his calmness. That is clip number 4. But we're going to go to clip 1 first, Jimmy, because there's a lot in here on a couple things he said. It was pretty cool and pretty open, okay? After looking at the tape and after thinking about it, what you went through, here is Cutter.
Definitely a lot of things to learn from and things there's a lot of things we did good in that game that people might have not seen, but there's a lot of things we did good and there's a lot of things that we shot ourselves in the foot with. But I think overall it's a great learning experience and just more motivation for the rest of the season.
Good stuff. Now he continues to believe, and there's 2 parts here. One, you can say he has to say it. Okay. And 2, I honestly believe he believes it. Because it doesn't matter what I think, and it doesn't matter what you think, and it doesn't matter what Jimmy thinks. It really doesn't. What matters is what does Cutter think and what do the guys in the locker room think? We pontificate. We have our opinions. But in reality, we don't matter. What's between the ears of Cutter and how he thinks this team is? Here's the word he used. It's not a 4-letter word. It's a 5-letter word. They are close.
Self-inflicting wounds, just kept kind of shooting ourselves in the foot and making mistakes that we kind of, they weren't really causing, they were kind of causing ourselves, and that's something we can't do. You said what are other good things that you've seen in your confidence? There's a lot of plays where we had big hits and we had good runs. There was things open and back end, and there was many things that we were just like inches away from getting done, inches away from being a big time play. So I think that in itself not even just a few plays, like a lot of plays. So I think that in itself is just kind of build some confidence that we do have what we need, and we can get done everything we still want to get done. We're just so close. Gotta put all the pieces together.
Now, Jimmy, I want you to tell me if you think I'm a suck up here. You ready? I don't like your smile. It's like you got your holster and you're ready to fire at me. Okay, I threw it out. You want to fire back? Let me just say it first. This part of it, he's really right. He missed a couple throws that it could have been big plays. And I'm not so sure how much it was him missing, which I think was part of it, and the wideouts not getting where they were supposed to go. I think it's a combination of both. Neither here nor there. You don't turn the ball over like that, and you have a couple of big plays. I'm not saying Kentucky would have won. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they would have been in it and been different, but they didn't do it. They didn't do it. I'm not chilling for them, but I'm trying to put my head in the head of Cutter Boley. And what would I do if I was in his shoes? I always try. Matter of fact, when we did our book, Cut to the Chase, and you all are still getting on Amazon, thank you very much. You know, Dr. John Wong got tired of me saying, walk a mile in someone else's shoes. It can be difficult. It's one of my favorite things that I keep internal, and I don't use it that much in the show, and I don't know why, but it's tough at times to walk a mile in somebody's shoes. It just is. I can feel for it. I can have empathy for it. I think I'm very good with empathy, but I also can respect the fact that I didn't walk a mile in your shoes, but I'm trying with Cutter, and I could see why that's the positive perspective he has to have. Jimmy?
Yeah, and he's not wrong. Like you said, there's still, even that you look at the final score, things are close, but a lot of times in games, it comes down to a couple plays. When that strip sack happened, if Shiaz Pete, if he just fell on the ball and they recover it, likely Cutter Boley would not have been pressing the next drive to throw that interception into a defensive meeting room, and the flow of the game is completely different. So it's, in watching the game, and especially with them, they know the schemes that they're looking at and what looks they're trying to get. So maybe they were close in a lot of things, but he was that split second behind, and he missed a throw here. The line couldn't protect there. So, but again, that's being optimistic. There, of course, you could be a pessimistic fan and look at that and say they were never close. But the optimism that you have to have as the quarterback and the leader of the offense, that's what he's got.
You let me off the hook, didn't you?
Well, I don't think you are sucking up a little bit. But that's it. You trying to find the positive.
Shouldn't have given you a second opportunity. That's what I get, right? My bad. But I am trying to put myself in his shoes and see his perspective.
Yeah, and you have to have that perspective if you're Cutter Boley.
Take the word sucker back. He's going, no way, Cutler. And I wouldn't blame you. We're going to save the next one for John Haleby, clip number 4. Talking about, and I want John to respond to this, where he got his disposition. I think it's wonderful. I think it's poignant. It's probably the best soundbite, in my opinion, what we got from Cutter. So John will comment on that coming up next. I want to tell you about Quantrill Auto Group. We just got a third car, and I got to tell you, we got for Judy a Volvo XC60. My wife loves it. She loves it. She loves it. She's so happy it's unbelievable. I'm actually a good husband for a couple days. Jimmy, I don't know how much longer it can last. Our anniversary is this week, so maybe, Jimmy, you think I can get 3 days of being on the good side with my wife?
I think you can power through. You got 3 days, 72 hours. That's all it takes.
Hey, 43 years tomorrow.
Congrats.
My wife is a saint, as everybody who knows. But it's true. Everybody loves Judy. You don't love me, I get it. You don't love Judy, you got a problem. But so she loves her. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not hyping it, whatever. She loves her new Volvo. Loves it, loves it, loves it, loves it. It's crazy, as a matter of fact. It's a beautiful thing. So check out the Quantrill Auto Group. And I got to tell you, so many people there were helpful to help us out. And that's just what they do. They're really a wonderful group of people persons. I don't know if that's good grammar, but that's usually how I say it. They have people persons, and it's great. Jimmy, that's bad grammar. You got something else to help me with that? Anyway, don't forget about their Subaru deal with the Outback. 0% for 36 months. 0%. And if you want to go 72, 1.9%. What a deal. The Quantrill Auto Group, they're wonderful people who happen to be in the car business. That's the best way I can put it, and they really took care of us. And helpful. And I don't think it was really super, super special because I talk about them. I think this is how they are. And yeah, I have a relationship with them that now goes back over a decade. And that helps with anybody. There's no question about it. Check them out. The Quantrill Auto Group. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM. John Hale coming up next. 1300 AM, 92.5 FM, anywhere in the world on the ESPN Sports Lexington app.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrill Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrill Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal! 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Great selection of snacks is holding steady while the drive-thru service is rounding out the pack. They're rounding the turn, and it's Clark's Pump and Shop for the win!
Get in the winner's circle with Clark's Pump and Shop. Stop by and pick up 5-hour energy shots, 2 for $4.99, or Rolade sticks, buy one, get one free. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
I had great role models in my life, like my sister, my brother, and my brother-in-law. Definitely all three great examples. Even my dad and my mother led me along the way, but I grew up in a very athletic childhood. There wasn't a moment in my life where I wasn't around some kind of sport, so I just had good role models in front of me that kind of taught me that.
A really good soundbite. I like this big time from Cutter Bowley talking about his disposition. Now, this guy always has a calm disposition. John Hale, kind enough to join us, does an outstanding job covering Kentucky for the Lexington Herald Leader. John, people saying, all right, is Cutter really this calm and cool and stuff like that because of the family he came from and his brothers and sisters and parents and stuff like that. I buy this. I think it's a great soundbite. Because did you ask the question? Whoever asked the question, yeah. You did. Well, you know what? Guess what? Kudos, because I'll tell you why. You got some insight, which we all love if you're reporting. You got some insight into Cutter, and then you're going 1 and 1 equals 2. Hell of a question, John, and he's obviously he's comfortable anyway, but he's obviously comfortable with your question. So what did you take from that bite? I thought it was a big-time soundbite.
Yeah, I thought it was most interesting because Cutter's presser yesterday was not very insightful. It was clear he was up there to kind of say the company line and stick and say positive. A lot of media coaching. He was not giving us a lot, which is understandable in this situation. But I just asked him basically. We keep hearing from Coach Stoops and everybody else, all your teammates, about how resilient you are. Is that something you've always had, or is that something you had to develop? And he talked about his sister, who was one of the top high school girls basketball recruits in the country when she came out of Elizabethtown. His older brother played college football. His dad played college football, I'm pretty sure. And so like that.
The basketball, his dad played basketball at Western.
That's right. Yeah. And so that background.
By the way, John, his mom is an athlete too.
Yeah. So athletic family, he has been at this level. He's watched all his family members do this stuff too. That has helped him. And we heard this a lot last year too. If you remember when his first career game was at Florida after the game was decided, they threw him in on the last drive. He threw a pick six, and I think he went 0 for 6 in that game. And it was either a bye week the next week or a couple weeks after. We were talking to him about that, how is that going to affect you? It's obviously not the way you drew it up. And he just was not bothered at all. And we heard that all last season. And then we saw him have some really good performances down the stretch. And so I think that's a similar case here. The obvious caveat to that is the competition is really difficult. You got to play at Georgia. It doesn't matter if you're resilient. They're going to be really, really hard. But that is the bare minimum of mentality you have to have any sort of hope of managing this kind of gauntlet part of the schedule. Obviously, they want to win one of these next 3 games. But realistically, if they don't, you want them to still be mentally and physically in a spot where they can have a chance in November when the schedule gets a little easier.
Don, I don't know if you heard the monologue when I opened up the show. I can't stand this word. I can't stand this word being associated with a football team. I can't imagine a football team in today's sports society. I'm not talking about, 1942 when the forward pass was a dirty word. These bad things can happen when you throw the ball. That was part of football back then, as you know. I can't stand the word methodical. Who wins methodical? Methodical. That means at best you're trying to be mediocre, and if you play a perfect game, maybe you can win. I can't stand the word methodical. When Bush said that, it's not that I wanted to throw up. I just was going, if I'm spending money in season tickets and you're saying your offense is methodical, what the hell am I going to see? Are you as bothered by it, or is it me just looking at that word and going,
Well, no, I completely understand why people would bother by it. I think the reality of the situation is that's where they are. And I think the bigger issue is it's not a 1-year thing. Like, this is a 4, 5, 6-year thing where we keep talking to Mark Stoops across different offensive coordinators. It's all about, we have to stay out of predictable passing situations. We have to stay balanced. We have to stay ahead of the change. We're not built to succeed when the other team knows we're going to throw it. And maybe it's the offensive line one year. Maybe it's the quarterback. Maybe it's the receivers. Maybe it's all 3. And the question is, why is that still the case when we do see other teams, it's not the end of the world when they get down 14? I mean, that's why Saturday felt so, hard, I think, for the fan base. I don't think they quit. I don't think that they rolled over and stopped playing. It's just everyone knows where this offense is. And when you get down 14, when you give up those back-to-back defensive scores, it just feels hopeless because they've only come back from a 14-point deficit twice in the entire Stoops era. They've not come back from more than 11 down since 2019. When they get down multiple scores, they just are not explosive enough to win those games. And so when it happens that early, it feels like what's going on here, which is the real risk, obviously, when you play a team like Georgia in Georgia, that's going to happen again. They have to figure out a way to get around that. But right now, you got a redshirt freshman quarterback who you probably don't trust to make the perfect decisions. Their receivers, clearly, they don't have a difference maker at wide receiver. The offensive line is better, but the tackles did not hold up great in pass protection against really elite edge rushers last week that they're going to face the next 3 weeks too. That's why Bush Hamdan says they're going to be methodical. It's not going to sell tickets. It's not going to be anybody excited, but that probably is their only hope for winning any of these games.
Christian Hall is predicting empty seats, and he loves UK. Number 2 all-time tackler will do the show later in the week. I don't know. It's kind of depressing, I think, for a fan if you're talking about, as you eloquently put, for 4 or 5 years, it's the same thing over and over and over. And I know you know this line, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over, expecting different results. It seems to me when I watch Bush Hamdan, and you got to be there all the time, so maybe it's not fair throwing this at you, but it's like he'd rather go to the dentist. It's like he doesn't know what to say. I'm not saying he hates the media because I don't know, and I don't really, honestly, my guess is that's not true, but he hates talking to the media because I don't think he has answers, and I think he's struggling, and I'm not saying he's not smart. I think he is struggling to find the answers to make this work. I think he has been extremely frustrated since he got here.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely some frustration that comes through in the comments, both from him and Stoops when we talk about this, because we have been asking the same questions over and over again for 2 years now, and it gets It gets tired for us to ask them. We get tired of asking them over and over again. They get tired of answering them. And part of the problem is, and especially in this current environment with the transfer portal and NIL and being worried about players leaving all the time, like no coach can come out and say like our players aren't good enough to do this right now, which is probably the answer. But they can't say that publicly, and so it's a hard spot. I understand. I have a little sympathy for them to continue to be asked these questions and not have an answer that they can say publicly. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's the coach's fault for not having good enough players. They're the ones who recruited them here. But certainly, the one thing I will give Bush this season is last year, I do think it felt like the whole year they were just throwing stuff at a wall and trying to figure out what stuck week to week. I do think they at least have an identity on offense this year because Seth McGowan's been so good, because the offensive line has blocked well in the run game, because the tight ends have proven to be dynamic pass catchers. Like, that's an identity to build on. But they have to be balanced because these SEC teams are just going to stack the box to stop the run. So they have to throw the ball and prove that they can do that. And it's just not happening yet with either quarterback. And so that's kind of just where you're at the moment, where you don't have a solution to it. The players aren't going to change. I think the only hope is that Cutter Boley learns with experience and gets better on the job.
Do you feel, or this is not something you look at, John, do you feel apathy from the fans setting in quickly, partly because of what's happened this year, but I think mainly because it's been a, continuation of what's going on? It's like, I don't mean to put it this way, but I don't know how else to say it. It's like piling on all the stuff that's been bad. And I think right now, it's not the first time in the history of Kentucky football, but I think a lot of fans are just worn out, especially, I'm pushing the word methodical. That just drove me nuts.
Yeah, I think it's definitely setting in. I think there was a little spike after the South Carolina game of like actual anger, and like I do that weekly mailbag every Monday where I ask for fans questions, and like every week I've gotten somebody saying they should fire Mark Stoops even after the wins. This week that's all it was, and there were a bunch more of them. So I think there was that initial push of like anger, but assuming the next 3 games go the way we think they're going to, like people will just stop caring. Like it won't even be a week to week like they should fire him. It'll just be like, oh, you don't care. And the elephant in the room that always is true in Lexington, like basketball practice started last week. Like Big Blue Madness is like next week. They're going to start playing exhibitions. Everybody's excited, rightfully, for that team. There are winnable games on this football schedule down the stretch, but I just have no faith that anybody's going to be paying attention by the time they get to that part of the schedule.
Wow. Okay, if you don't want to answer this, John, it's just in my head. Trust me, I'm good. I appreciate your time. You do a hell of a job. My theory has been that if I remember correctly, a couple weeks ago I said Pittman was going to be the first guy fired in the SEC. It didn't take a genius on my part to figure that out. I'm sure you probably did the same thing. You could see the tea leaves. So no genius on my part. But I did say it a couple weeks ago, and at the time I didn't know what the buyout was. I don't know everybody's buyout. But then when I saw it was $15 million, the thing that instantly came to my head was, look, if Kentucky rebounds, great. I hope they do. I'm not betting on it, but I hope they do. But if this thing falls apart, it seems to me, with money being tight, you probably buy out Stoops if this falls apart at $15 million. But $38 million plus some assistant coaches. Look, I don't know their finances. That's a ridiculous amount of money for a school which has been very fiscally responsible, but they have money issues now too, like everybody else. I don't see it happening. But if there was 15 in your cranium, I guess I'm asking you to play columnist. If I'm going somewhere I shouldn't with you, John, please tell me, and I'm sorry. My thought is, if $15 million, if this falls apart, they would say, see ya.
I don't think there's a scenario where Mitch Barnhart would do that in the season.
No. At the end of the season.
At the end of the year, if it goes the way we expect, I think that would certainly be on the table. I think at this point, he would never admit that publicly, obviously, and he shouldn't. But you're right, the $38 million, it's just not going to happen. I mean, like that would be the second largest buyout ever paid to fire a college football coach. The number one is still Jimbo Fisher at A&M, $76 million. That's in its own stratosphere. But the number 2 one currently is Gus Malzahn at Auburn, and it was like $23 million. So we're talking about $17 million more than the second highest paid buyout ever right now. And that was before revenue sharing, before trying to come up with all this extra money. Like, it's just not going to happen. The question becomes, if it gets ugly, if it gets as bad as people think it's going to get, like at what point does Mark Stoops walk away or decide to negotiate with them? I don't know that anybody knows that answer, and I don't think Mark Stoops knows that answer right now, because as a football coach, you have to keep that week-to-week mentality. Like, he still believes that they're going to turn this around, that they're going to change the narrative, that they're going to win games down the stretch, and people are going to move past this like they have done before, like they did in 2016. We can both sit here and say that doesn't seem very likely, but he's not thinking that. And until he gets to that point, these questions are just hypotheticals, and that's 2 months down the road before we could even begin to have that conversation, I think.
Last one. I appreciate your time. I like Cutter. He obviously didn't play well. There were some things that went bad that I think weren't his fault. There are things that went bad that were his fault. And he's got to learn to get rid of the ball quicker and stuff like that, and those kinds of things that he's learning on the fly. I get it. I also personally believe giving up on him after that game is dumber than a box of rocks, but that's me. I remember covering Couch throwing 3 interceptions and having welts on his body at South Carolina, and he took the blame for the loss, which was awful. It was, but he had a bad day, but the offensive line had a bad day. My point is, I was more disappointed in the offensive line. I thought it would be much, much better than last year, not the big blue wall, but somewhere in between. At what point, I don't know. But they didn't help him. And after the first drive, there was no room for the running back, so they became predictable. And to me, that put more pressure on Cutler. Not shilling for Cutler. I promise you I'm not shilling for Cutler, but I thought it more pressure on it. So I don't know how you look at it, I was more disappointed in the offensive line than I was Cutler.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why we talk about that methodical thing. It's like that's Bush Hamden acknowledging that they can't protect him in those 3rd and long situations where everybody knows they have to throw it. Like they just can't do it. And they're better than last year on the offensive line, but they're still not that good. That was a real red flag, because the whole question we had about this offensive line rebuild was you went out and got these productive players from smaller schools that did it at a smaller level. How are they going to hold up against the top edge rushers in the country they're going to face week to week in the SEC? That was really their first test this weekend, and it didn't go well. And so, that's going to be a weekly storyline here, and they're going to have to figure it out. I'm with you. That is a very concerning thing, especially when you have a young quarterback who's probably going to make some bad decisions like he did on the 2nd interception. That is going to be a situation to watch all year. They have to figure out a way for him to realize where his first read is and go with it, but they have to give him some time, and he just did not have enough time on some of those throws.
I lied. One more, and I promise I'm done. Not fair, but I'm throwing it at you anyway. I'm good at not fair, John. But you know that already. You're smirking at me. And you're not in the closet this time.
No.
I'll never, if you're just tuning in one day, John, being a good guy with his dogs, literally went in the closet just to be nice, not to have too much. No, I'll never forget that, John. I wish we had a picture of it. It really is something when you retire 40 years from now and I'll be dead, you should have that picture up there. Look, I did anything to help my job. I even did the media opportunities on a sports talk show to help out my job and my paper in a closet. Dude, I don't think you give enough credit how good that was. I lost my train of thought. How about that? I was going to be unfair. Yes, I got it back. I'm 70. I'm going to be 73 in a couple of weeks, John. Have a little sympathy for the old guy here. If again, not a fair question, but I watched Alabama, and I didn't watch the Georgia game, but I watched the clips, and there was 35, 40 clips, and those kinds of things. I'm looking at the clips, and they give you most of the good plays instead of watching the whole game. And I'm saying to myself, right or wrong, if Cutler was behind either one of those offensive lines, would we look at him differently and say, this is a bright young kid who you see the future right in front of you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he would still be making some inexperienced decisions and some things that you shake your head at a young quarterback. But if you put him behind those 2 lines, I think you would see the promise for sure. And also gave him the receivers those teams have, which Kentucky does not have, difference makers at wide receiver right now. Absolutely. I think that's the case. And that's going to be fascinating to watch his development throughout the season, assuming he holds on to the job. Does he show enough to where he gets some interest from those bigger programs in the portal? I think that's something that you can never rule out. Kentucky would, I think, take that problem because that would mean he played pretty well. But there's no doubt he has enough talent. He has enough promise. What we saw in the second half of Texas last year, being tops on that list, that if I think you put some better players around her, he would not be a perfect quarterback by any means. I don't know that he could win the job at those places because they have other good quarterbacks, but he would certainly, I think the hype for him would be higher than it is this week in Lexington.
Give yourself a plug how everybody can read you, watch you, stand on your head, all the good things, stuff you do.
Yeah, all the works at KentuckySports.com, and you can follow me on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, at JohnHale_HL.
Last one, I lied. How much more fun is your job if they were like undefeated right now?
Oh, it's definitely more enjoyable for sure. I mean, I always tell people I don't root for them to win or lose, but it's definitely easier when they're good. Monday, sitting there this week saying, okay, what 3 storylines can I come up with this week? And getting desperate enough to pull out the kicker story today is not a great place to be in the last week of September, first week of August.
Actually, it's a good story, but you're hoping to like on a bye week later.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
I understand. Been there, done that. John, you do a hell of a job. Thanks, dude. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Alan.
Have a good day. That's a great line about the kicker story, by the way. You know, when you could get more interviews, there were more opportunities for interviews when I did TV. Has nothing to do with me. It's just the way it was. And there were times you could get somebody on the side and then save it for like an undated feature, that kind of thing. And the kicker thing would be one of those things. Okay, 5 weeks in, you got another bye, this kind of thing. It's a really good Tuesday story. But now you're looking for something to do. And I could see John saying, he's organized, saying, okay, this week I got to write this story, this story, this story. What am I going to do? Planning your week. It's not easy. It's amazing. Too many fans think that, and there'll be some in the media. Come on, the media is far from perfect. But they'll think, they're just against the team and stuff like that. It's really not true. And I got to tell you, somebody like John Hale, he's straight up. He really is. What he said and how he is. If Gene Abel is listening and he's coming on later, that's the kind of reporter that Gene wanted. You got to do your job. You got to ask your questions. It's easier when the team wins, but it is what it is. It really is. I don't know how else to put it. Blue Lotus Health. Blue Lotus Health. Blue Lotus Health. 859-533-0914. 859-533-0914. Acupuncture. Now also providing a licensed massage therapist, Ramon Carriega. Please use my name. Andres Sales Road is a great dude, really smart, helped me tremendously. It's your health. It's your health. And I've gone crazy in trying to help my health. Of course, if I lose a couple pounds, that would probably help my health a lot too. But acupuncture, it's special. Check out Ramon, 859-533-0914. 859-533-0914. Gene Abel coming up at 1 o'clock. Thank you, John Hale. And at 1:30, old friend Aaron Gashon used to cover Kentucky with the Catspaws, but he's watching the game, and he's got a terrific 2 cents. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Great selection of snacks is holding steady while the drive-thru service is rounding out the pack. They're rounding the turn, and it's Clark's Pump and Shop for the win!
Get in the winner's circle with Clark's Pump and Shop. Stop by and pick up Sour Patch or Swedish Fish peg bags, 2 for $6, or Jack Link's Jerky, 3 1/4-ounce bags, 2 for $11. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru! The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal! 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quantrell family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1300 and 92.5. WLXG Lexington, an LM Communications broadcasting station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I learned. You gotta know what my pressure answers are. You gotta get the ball in my hand, and just gotta keep executing and keeping the ball in our hands, getting us in good drives, good field position, and not giving the other team points. That's for sure.
Cutter, how does a quarterback go about, getting the ball out faster? Everyone knows you got to get it out before the snap, but what do you need to do to put yourself in a position to get the ball out faster?
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of things that go into that. It could be, there's many different factors, and depending on what the play is, what the deep coverage is, whatever. But just knowing my outlets are, knowing my quick answers are, just being able to recognize exactly what's going on and knowing my answers are for that.
Cutter Bowley. Got to get rid of the ball quicker. Not all his fault, but the line didn't do him any service. And he'll get better. I believe he'll get better. And I just don't understand some of the people on social media who've already quit on him. I just don't get it, don't understand it. Baffles me, but everybody's got their opinion. So does Gene Abel, retired sports editor of the Lexington Herald Leader. Gene, how are you?
Doing great, Alan. How are you doing?
For an old geezer, you sound a little hollow.
Hollow.
Yeah.
You sound louder than usual.
My big mouth is loud all the time. I'm actually talking quieter than I was about a week ago.
I thought it was a volume button, but I turned mine down.
Yeah.
Am I okay?
Yeah, it's serviceable. Next time we're gonna try to get rid of earpieces. You end up sounding better that way. It's for some reason I thought
I'm doing the same thing I've always done.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. It's the Jimmy. Does he sound like he's in a time warp, or is it my ears?
It sounds a little echoey, but it's not. It's not that bad. Not echoey, but kind of hollow. But it's not that bad.
All good. All good. All good. I did my rant. I don't know if you heard the monologue. I started with the word methodical. I can't stand methodical. You have methodical offense, Gene. In your vast knowledge, I'm not talking about the Army team in 1942 and the stuff in the 50s, when they weren't throwing the ball. But since the advent of the forward pass, when it became prevalent, who wins the national championship with methodical? How many great teams are there methodical? When I heard Bush Hampton use the word methodical, I'm going crazy. Methodical, methodical, methodical. You're in the stands and you're spending all that money to watch Kentucky football. And at best it's methodical offense. It sounds awful. It sounds negative. It sounds like you can't win. And it's the only way he thinks you can win because as John Hale just said, no coach can say you don't have enough talent, but he's saying they don't have enough talent. And if the coach does that, it's the coach's fault because he hasn't brought enough talent. But this is methodical. I can't stand methodical. Methodical is driving me nuts. It's just hit a nerve with me, Gene Abel.
I think you've gone nuts, and you're right. But methodical is boring. But that's what they are. That's what they've been for years. I understand what you're saying, but their problems are so much deeper than him using the word methodical. It's very deep, but they're boring. But hasn't it been this way, with the exception of when they moved a wide receiver to quarterback for the last half of a year? It's been boring for a pretty long time.
And that's my point, because it's the same thing over and over. Enough of this.
But a system isn't going to fix this, I don't think. I don't think they can go close 60 times this week. They're not going to have any better results. Their talent level is not what it needs to be. Tell me a position group, maybe other than running back, where they're strong. Their defense is acceptable because Brad Wright is really good, and he doesn't let his defense beat itself, but they don't turn the ball over. But where are they good? Who are the stars on this team?
You know why the dead air is? Because I agree with you. Because I agree with you that outside the running backs, let's put it this way. Now, I can't name the kids on Vandy, but I've watched them play a little bit now. I love Pavia. I just do. I know it's a sacrilegious thing to say, but I love them. And I've looked at their talent, and let's amplify what you said. Without knowing their names and whatever, there can't be 5 guys on Kentucky that would start at Vandy. Would you agree with that, or is that too strong?
I don't know that I can say that, but there's not 5 guys at Kentucky that will be first, second, third SEC, which that's 70 players. And, when the punter and kicker are your highlights, that's getting back to the John Ray days practically. I mean, that's not a good sign when your punter and your kicker are your most productive players. And I'm not saying there's not any people on this team that have talent. There are some kids that have talent, but it's not a talented roster. The wide receiver group it's not very good. And I never really understood why people thought the offensive line was going to be a whole lot better. I hoped it'd be better. It's better, and it's not great, or it's not even good against SEC teams. There's a talent void over there right now.
I've said this for years. Unless you're from the state of Kentucky, why would a talented receiver want to come to Lexington KY when you're not going to throw the ball like so many other teams do? I've been saying it for years. It's not like I'm smart. It's as obvious as the nose on my face, and I'm not trying to downgrade these kids because I'm really not. But
and they had Key who did, and he and you see what happened. He left, and Wandale Robinson is the one receiver who was really good. Did he start out at Kentucky? No, he went somewhere else, but he did wind up at Kentucky and was productive. But you're exactly right. Why would a wide receiver look at this situation and say they're going to come here? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
If this falls apart, and I hope it doesn't.
You just cut off, Alan.
Really? You can't hear me?
You just cut off.
Okay.
Okay, now you're back. You're back.
Didn't know I went somewhere. If this
probably on my end.
If this continues to spiral down, I can see by the end of the season, I don't know about being as bad for Joker in that Vandy game when it was cold in November and nobody showed up. I'll never forget that. You go in the press box and there's nobody there. I mean, nobody there. I'm not predicting it's going to be that bad, but I do believe if something doesn't happen, there might be very few people if they've lost every game going into Florida on November 8th.
I definitely think that's true. That Joker, that atmosphere will never leave me. I remember getting up there, and as soon as I looked out there 10 minutes before the game, I said, this is over, and actually got into a discussion with somebody who was a friend of ours and who I have a lot of respect for. He said, no, this isn't it. And I said, he will not coach again here. And I think Joker actually gets more blame than he should for the whole situation, but it was not good. And you knew they could not continue that way. There'll be crowds the next few weeks because the other team's going to bring some. Some people will go to see Texas. I mean, I know people are going just to see Texas. They'll be, but it could be really bad. But is it Central Michigan they play late? That's the game I would really look for. See who's in the stand.
Tennessee Tech.
Tennessee Tech. I'm sorry, they play.
Yeah, and there could be nobody there for the Tennessee Tech game. I wouldn't be surprised if Texas brings a lot of fans. I would imagine Tennessee. How about this? I wonder what the split will be: Tennessee fans versus Kentucky fans. Because Tennessee fans
it could be real nasty.
Tennessee fans love to come up here, especially when they think they're going to win it, which is almost all the time. Could it be possible to be a 50-50 split by then?
That would not shock me. And I don't think you're not going to see packed houses against Texas and Tennessee in these games. But I think there will be not embarrassing crowds. After that, I'm not sure.
You think Cutler ever got rattled against South Carolina?
Well, of course he got rattled, but he's barely into his career. His offensive line isn't protecting him. His receivers can't get any separation. I'm not sure what quarterback at that point in their career wouldn't get rattled. He made some bad decisions. He made some good decisions. If somebody thinks Cutter Boley is the problem, then they're the same people who thought Cutter Boley was going to fix the problem immediately. That's not the problem.
Yeah, I don't think Cutler's a problem either. And my analogy is that I'd like to see if Cutter was playing behind the offensive line of Alabama with their receivers. And I wonder if people would say, that's a rising star.
Yeah, and what I hope does not happen, and it has happened before, not here, just here, but in other places, is he gets pounded, he gets beat up, he starts to lose confidence, he starts to lose rhythm. That's really hard to get back at the same place. And I hope that does not happen, because I think Cutter Bowley, or I have no reason to believe Cutter Bowley cannot be a really good college quarterback.
I agree with you 1,000%.
Well,
Hey, Jimmy,
that's too much.
cue up it's clip 2 from the other day that we didn't play. Stoops on Cutter. Give me a thumbs up when you get it. And then after that, Gene, I want you to comment on that, Gene Abel. And then we're going to play a clip from Chip Rupp from yesterday that was strong that I want you to comment as well. This was Stoops, I believe it was Monday, in his weekly press conference on Cutter Bowley.
Good question, and I absolutely do. He's just one of those guys that, he's just getting started. He's very young in this process, and I know, for young players that are very talented, they feel like, okay, wait a minute, I just sat one whole year, I'm ready to go, and, that's pretty hard. It's pretty difficult for anybody, and so, but he is very resilient. He has a strong belief in himself. The players believe in him. He has the talent, and so he'll continue to work and get better. And I don't anticipate he's the type of player that'll get affected by that.
Are you able to have those open conversations with him and kind of take your brain and take his?
Definitely. Like I said, it's very early in this process right now, but he's very much like that. And I saw him and visited with him after the game, and he had a good attitude.
He had a good attitude after the game, and Stoops was responding, are you worried about his confidence? And it sure sounds like Stoops is saying basically all the right things. You agree or disagree, Gene Abel, retired sports editor of the Lexington Herald-Leader?
I think Stoops is saying what I would expect him to say, what he has to say. I don't think Cutter Bowley has lost his confidence after one game, but I'm a little bit afraid of where we're going to be in 3 or 4 weeks. And at what point, if it continues on the path it is, are Cutter Bowley and his family going to look at this and say, can we get where we want in this system? I don't know.
Do I think that's a probability of a question being asked? Yes. Now, not yet. Might it? I would say the odds of that were tremendous. Look, there's a whole bunch of players that could have, but it's not just Kentucky, by the way. There's a whole bunch of players in Kentucky that could have left and stayed. Ty Bryant could have left. Cutter could have left. There's others could have left, and that's not unusual. Kids are getting calls all the time. So I don't want somebody to say, "Oh, no, they were just after Cutter." Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. Cutter wants to be here. He really wants to be here, and he really wants to play. I tell you this, and I have no inside information. I don't, but I have a really good feel of what's going on. If 2 weeks from now, Cutter is pulled and he's healthy and doesn't play the rest of the year, the odds of him being back here next year would be 100 to 1. And I'm serious, 100 to 1. And I wouldn't blame him.
Well, there's another factor that, and I'm not saying this about Cutter, I'm saying about this is the world of college athletes. What's his NIL value if he continues to struggle and they're not going anywhere, as opposed to where his NIL value was last spring?
Well, it would be less, one, and you're correct. But I do believe there's a formula out there that if it turns out bad, this is sounding too negative sports talk, but if it turns out bad, Cutter could drop down to a school like, let's say, I don't know why I'm thinking Toledo, but a school like Toledo that would throw the ball more than Toledo. And if you have a great year, all of a sudden he'll make up the difference of the NIL money and probably have choices of schools to go through from there. There's a lot of kids that will do that to come back and get another shot.
That's correct, but that's not a path this family wanted to go.
No, I don't. I'm sorry for stepping in, Gene. You're absolutely right, but you have to look at the tangibility of what's in front of you. If he gets pulled from his job 3-4 weeks from now and he's not healthy, the odds of him coming back here is like, I wouldn't say zero, but pretty close.
Okay, could Toledo offer him half of the NIL money he's getting now? Because I think I know what that figure is, and it's pretty strong.
I'm guessing no, but I think at that point, believe it or not, I'm glad you're sitting down. I think money is secondary to the opportunity and the coach and the offensive coordinator, because if you're in the right situation, that school will know it's free 1 year and you could come back and then make money. I actually think there are some cases, believe it or not, and Cutler wouldn't be the only one, where money is not the be all end all. I really believe that.
Well, and let me make it very clear. I'm not picking on Cutler in this. I mean, that's any player is going to look at the best deal they can get. And I don't mean anything I'm saying the Cutler's out for the highest bidder or anything like that. I do not think that at all.
And by the way, and I didn't take
it. That's the nature of college sports.
Right. I didn't take it that way, but I think you're smart to qualify that, because we all know how people can misconstrue things or want to see somewhere we want to do it. Chip Rupp did the show yesterday, and
he's great to listen to.
He's really good. And Chip's done the show a ton, like you've been kind enough to do this show a ton too. And I don't remember him.
You pay him more than you do me.
I don't count. Wow. Let's put it this way. I can guarantee you one thing. Your checks are equal.
We get the same. That's all that matters. It's equality. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Happy to buy either one of your lunch. You know how that goes. It's true. Chip doesn't just love UK basketball with his grandfather's name on Rupp. He loves Kentucky. He loves Kentucky. And I shouldn't have to say this. He loves Kentucky. He also really knows sports. He knows a hell of a lot more than just basketball. And, Gene, I know you know that. And people who have listened to him on my show can tell that, too. And I shouldn't have to qualify it, but I think it's important. He's really down on UK football. I mean, really down. Gene, I want you to hear this. And I'm telling you, when you hear it, I think you're going to agree with me. He really surprised me about how far down he is and where he thinks the program is. This is Chip Rupp, my friend, who did the show yesterday.
If we go down there and have another uninspiring performance, I think you're almost in a position where you have to make a tough decision, like we've seen happen at UCLA, Oklahoma State, Arkansas. I mean, who would have thought that Hunter Yurachek would have done away with Sam Pittman in the middle of the year and put Bobby Petrino in as the head coach after, his transgressions? So anything can happen. But what I would do is I would probably make the tough decision to cut ties. I'd put Brad White in as the interim head coach to see if he has what it takes. And, maybe he would unleash a Bush where we'd see the best version of Bush. I'm still not convinced that Bush, although I hear he's a great guy, I don't know if he's a genius signal caller or not, but I would like to see the best version of him that's unfiltered by Mark.
Pretty strong.
That is strong.
But let me throw this at you, then I want you to respond, Gene. I think unscientifically, you know this, Gene. Come on, you put a poll on Twitter, and if 90% say one thing, that doesn't mean what every fan thinks. It's something to talk about, but that doesn't necessarily mean what everybody thinks. I think he's in the majority, not the minority. And I can't prove it. It's a feel thing, just a feel thing. And your thoughts?
You talking about Chip is in the majority?
Yes.
If the question is, do most fans want to change right now? I think it's not even close. I think they've been apathetic for a year or two. I don't think Stoops ever recovered with the fans after the A&M mess, and he could have if they'd have come back and kicked some tail for a year. But I think I said on the show during the summer that I've sensed less enthusiasm for UK football than I have in a long time. I respect what Stoops has done. Do I think the fans, if you polled them, do they want to change? They absolutely want to change. I'm not sure that's exactly the way I would do it. I respect what Chip says, and he may be right. I'm not sure that's how I would do it, but fans want to change it. I know the buyout is crazy. I don't know how they get around it. That's the real problem. But I don't see if they come out this year with 3 wins and with more than that, it's going to be tough. I don't know how they build anything for next year. I don't see how they recruit. I don't see how they sell tickets. You know, they're constructing that Taj Mahal over there, which I know isn't just football. That entertainment center, that's got to be based somewhat on success of football down the road. I don't know where they go, but if they win 3 games, I think Mitch has to start working those phones in the next few weeks.
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, I said that Pittman would be the first coach in the SEC fired. It didn't take a genius on my part. I think a lot of people saw that. So that's not the point. But the point is, at the time, I didn't know his buyout was only $15 million. It's easy for me to say it's only $15 million. My theory is, and I can't prove it, this is sports talk and theories, that if Stoops' buyout was 15, it's not easy. But I think if this ship continues to fall, there's almost no question they would buy him out. 38 plus some assistant coaches. That's a totally different deal. Totally different deal. And so when people want to blame Stoops, I've been saying this forever. Blame Mitch, blame the president, blame the board, because they approved the contract. They approved the contract. This didn't have to be done. I don't blame Stoops. I blame the people that gave him this contract. I always have. I'm never going to change. Never, ever, 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 ever going to change because I wouldn't have given him the contract. The point is this. Do you think 15 would be a different versus 38?
Absolutely. If it's 15, it would, if they continue on the journey they're on now, only win 3 or 4 games, I think it would be over. I think you're right. And so Stoops is responsible for what's happened to the program. Administration is responsible for putting them in this position with this terrible contract and buyout.
Why is it the president gets off scot-free except for me talking about it? Why is it the board gets off scot-free besides me talking about it? Why is it Mitch has not gotten, he's gotten some heat, but hasn't got, I think, nearly as much heat as I think he deserves. Am I wrong?
I think Mitch has got some heat.
Some, not like the president.
Why not the president? Because I don't think the fan looks at the president and says the president can change the football program, so they don't care. Actually, the president can. But in the fans' mind, the football program changes when you get a better football coach. Now, Kentucky history, it doesn't always turn out that way. But fans don't look at the president as somebody who's going to make a team that's going to be on the field next year or the year after that's going to be really competitive and really fun. And that's not where they're at now. I mean, they won, 3 out of their last 19 games against power conference teams. They haven't won an SEC game in over a year, I don't think.
Nope, over a year. And by the way, I think most fans should know that none of these contracts get pushed through without the president saying okay.
Right. The fan may know it, but the fans are looking for quick fix. They don't look at the president as the guy who's going to give them the quick fix. It's going to be the AD and the coach. The AD has to hire the right coach, and then it's going to be the coach. I mean, it always comes back to the coach. I mean, right or wrong, but they do get in Stoops' case, I guess, $9 million. So they're doing okay.
Let's go to the Reds. I turned it off 6-0 last night. I woke up to find out it was 10-5. I just quit. I really thought that if Green pitched to his potential, which he didn't last night, I thought some of the home runs were absolutely his fault. I mean, I'm picturing one of Hernandez's home runs was like a batting practice fastball. Green might throw hard, like a lot of guys do, but when you throw it that high, that over the plate, he just put a smooth swing on it, and I thought he was terrible last night. He's a wonderful young man, and he's done a hell of a job for the Reds when he's healthy, but he was awful last night, and there was a pitch where he hit 101, I can't remember, 4th or 5th inning, whatever it was, and you can tell, you pitch, so you know, but you can tell if you really follow baseball if a guy is just overthrowing out of frustration and stuff like that, and he was just terrible last night. And I know they came back to make it a game, but tonight, oh my gosh, Zach Luttrell, who's done a nice job for him, 10-8 overall for the year, including the trade with a 3.81 ERA. That's nice. But Yamamoto, I mean, he's their second pitcher. And he's got a 2.49 ERA with 201 strikeouts, and he's 12-8. And I don't know how the hell he's 12-8. I watch the box scores every day, but he could easily be 15-5, as you know that. And I'm going, they had to win last night. They had to win last night. They didn't. I think, not that this is surprising, I think they're in trouble. I'm sure you've seen Yamamoto pitch. My gosh, he's really good. Wish the Yankees had him.
The Reds are in trouble, but the Reds were in trouble a month ago. I think when we basically said on here they're cooked. that's baseball. If they could win tonight, then the pressure sort of reverses. But they were not, Hunter, first playoff game back in his hometown. I think I saw where the Dodgers had played 64 playoff games since the Reds had played any. I mean, that was just set up. He's playing a relaxed team that knows how to play in the playoffs, and he was hyped, and it didn't work. But just like the Kentucky football team, I said lacking talent. The Reds aren't lacking talent, but you look at the first three batters of the Dodgers lineup, all three of them are going to be Hall of Fame. They probably won't even be close. Look at the first three batters in the Reds lineup, and all of them would love to make an All-Star team. I mean, that you can still win in baseball despite that, but that's a lot to overcome on the road against a team that's used to being in the playoffs. But if they lose tonight, obviously it's over. They win tonight, it reverses a little bit, but their backs are against the wall big time. They have had their backs against the wall for a month.
Yeah,
I didn't like it when people said they backed their way in by winning their last game. They won 8 of their last 11 games against strong competition in the league, and they got in the playoffs because of that.
By the way, and thank you for saying that. I couldn't agree with you more, and I said that the other day. Plus, they've been terrible against Milwaukee, and they had to win 2 out of 3 to get in. And this Milwaukee team, who's young, they've done a wonderful job restocking their talent. Just set an all-time record for most wins in a season with 97. And I'm sure you saw it, unless you shut it off the TV by then, or maybe saw it on social media. I love what Milwaukee did. They're celebrating, and they put up on the screen like a congratulations thing to the Reds, and the game was in Milwaukee. I thought that was so classy. It was I'm rooting for the Brewers now. Not if they play the Yankees or the Reds or that kind of thing, but that was such a classy thing to do. And then somebody told one of the guys in the clubhouse, and a whole bunch of the Reds obviously went outside to see it. What a classy move by Milwaukee.
I agree with that. And the Brewers, I think the Red Sox may be a little bit like this. They're sort of starting to reverse that trend of all home runs or nothing. They're back to they're not a power hitting team. They're a team that really plays clean, plays good defense. They really run. They play small ball, and I actually hope that comes back in baseball. And for all this talk of it's home runs or nothing, the teams that had the highest batting averages in the league were the mostly across the board teams that were in the playoffs and had good seasons. And I would like to see. I like the day when hitting 300 meant something.
Not enough guys do it. Let's put it this way. If it's me, I take the clips of Boston in spring training and I show it to the Reds because they're not swinging for the fences. They got line drive base hits where they're not swinging very hard, and they take the extra base. And, Gene, they do this revolutionary thing. They're running from the first step. It's not like, jogging hard. Oh, it can go through. I'm going to take off. They run from the first step. And I don't know why everybody doesn't do it, and I couldn't agree with you more. I love baseball where, okay, he hit home run, great. Some nights you can't hit a home run. Well, you know what? The Yankees had bases loaded, nobody out, 9th inning, and Jimmy pointed out in the history of baseball, no team has ever had nobody out in the 9th inning in a playoff game and not scored a run. Nobody, because, they're so home run centric, they swing too hard. Hit a little line drive, the kind of thing you do when you take BP. It's much easier to do. And the Yankees got beat by small ball last night.
Doesn't that parallel the same way the Brewers are playing?
Yes.
They're the best team in the National League. So
yes,
maybe it's going to reverse a little bit, which I hope it does.
I think it is a little bit, and I think one of the reasons why it's reversing, Milwaukee doesn't have, so they say, the kind of big dollars, so they're doing things within their budget, and it's easier to find guys who play defense, who will run hard, who are on the cheap, than trying to get someone who hits 40 home runs, and you got to have a contract so bad if they screw up or they get hurt or they're not as good, you're done. And Milwaukee does a spectacular job of trading away a player, not always, but getting a really good young player back. Matter of fact, right now they're better than Tampa Bay doing that. They really are, and they get young guys that are hungry and they hustle. And a small ball, they have this funny 4-letter word they do. They bunt. Bunt.
Wow. And, I think it's Vaughn on their team. The one guy was with the White Sox this year for like 2/3 of the year and was hitting under 200. Now he's hitting like 350 for them, 340 for them. And I heard Brantley say one night that that's what culture does. And I think there's something to that.
I do think there's something to it, and I agree with Brantley, but he's also not swinging for the fences as much.
Well, but isn't that the culture of where he's playing?
Yes, part of it. Yes, I agree. But you also have to make the physical change of what you're doing.
Right.
Last one. A little sarcasm here, Gene.
Not from you.
No.
Okay.
No.
So I may have some. So.
Oh, good. So Kirby Smart always says nice things about Stoop. And there have been times where Kentucky has really hit with Georgia, really hit with them. And I respect him. And they've played him really tough. And Kirby will always say, you already know where I'm going. I can see if you're on YouTube watching this, you can already see Gene's face. And he always says really nice things, and they say nice things back. And Kirby's the one who has a 13-year contract, which I still think was stupid. Neither here nor there. I wouldn't have given him a 13-year contract. Who knows if he's going to be the same coach 5 years from now? I thought it was dumber than a box of rocks. I just don't like this. You can't live with 6 years. You want to go to the NFL? Go. It's Georgia. I'll find a really good coach. I'm telling you, better than 50-50, that contract doesn't work out for 13 years. Neither here nor there. So he says nice things about Stoops. Stoops says nice things back. They're both defensive guys. They're both friends. I believe they are friends. They agree in the same principles. Stoops can't recruit players like Kirby can. Do you think at all a coach, I'm not suggesting Kirby's doing it this way. I think Steve Superior did. I know there's no doubt in my mind Steve Superior did it. That Kirby says all these nice things about Mark Stoops because he's only 9-0, so he wishes Stoops is here through the rest of his contract so he can be 10-0 and 11-0 and 12-0 and 13-0. You don't think there's anything to that. Or you think he's just being a nice guy to build up a friend and say, don't give this guy crap. He's a really good football coach, and I respect him. Which one is it, Gene Abel, or is it a little bit of both?
I think that Kirby Smart respects the way that Stoops teams play, and that they're physical, and they generally play hard, and they play good defense. And I think Kirby Smart wants Mark Stoops to be the Kentucky as long as he's at Georgia. Rick Pitino was famous for that. He used to go beat these teams, Mississippi, and somebody seemed about 50 points, and then after the game, he'd get up at the podium and talk about, what a great coach. Y'all got to appreciate what you have. And he's like, Rick doesn't want any of these people leaving. And I'm not saying that as a yeah. I mean, I don't mean that bad. I mean that's the coaching fraternity does that because they don't like to see other guys get fired because the firings become so popular, it puts them on the hot seat quicker, which it has. But I don't demean Kirby for saying that, and I think he does respect the way Kentucky plays. But the fact of it is, he's never lost to him.
I think it's a little bit of all the above you said.
That's probably true. Yes.
The good, bad, and the you-know-what. Yeah. And the you-know-what. Okay, yes. Last one. I lied. I want you to think about this. I want you to give this great thought.
So I have like 0 seconds. Okay, let's go.
You were breaking up. I'm sorry?
I have like 2 seconds. Okay, let's go.
Okay. All right.
That's deep thought.
Deep thought. This really strange things happened, okay? Mark Stoops goes either to Iowa or goes to sell bourbon, and he's not here next year. This is all hypothetical. And for some unexplainable reason, don't ask me the logic. There's no logic here, okay? No logic. So I'm telling you this straight out. Kirby Smart walks away. It's not 13 years anymore, but once was his 13-year contract, and decides to coach the University of Kentucky because he has this challenge that he wants to win a national championship somewhere else, and he's going to go to a place that can't win a national championship in most people's minds, and he comes here. Gene Abel, retired sports editor of the Lexington Herald-Leader. I want you to think about this. You got about 3 seconds to answer. I want you to think about this. Could Kirby Smart take Kentucky to the promised land? Yes or no?
Is the promised land a national championship?
Get in the playoffs.
I think he could get them in the playoffs.
On a consistent basis.
It wouldn't be easy. I think he could get them in the top 20 in the country. Because Stoops had them bordering on the top 20. I mean, they got in there a few times and in and out.
I mean on a consistent basis. That you would expect Kentucky under Smart to be in the top 20 all the time. All the time.
I think he could get top 20. I don't know that I think he could be competing for a national championship on a regular basis. But it wouldn't be easy, and I don't think there would be any guarantee of that.
Okay. So you're saying that even though he has the advantage of coaching at Georgia, he's a better coach?
I mean, he is a better – I mean, and the thing that he would have right now that they don't have is his name would help because he's also going to bring a good staff with him, would help him get the kind of talent that could possibly make that happen.
Absolutely. Gene, as always, I'm glad you're back to snuff and have some sarcasm. Anything else on your cranium in sports? Anything? Baseball, basketball, football, whatever, hockey?
No, one thing I did find really interesting last night, which probably broke your heart, and he almost put him in position to lose the game, but watching Aroldis Chapman throw 100 and 102 miles an hour. I watched him pitch for the Reds in 210, I think is when he started, 210, 211. My son and I went up there and watched him play. You got to watch this guy. It's the only time I've ever been in the park where the mitt sounded different when he threw it. I mean, you could just hear it pop. But that many years later, 15 years later, he's out there throwing that. That was amazing to me. I mean, he's done it this year. It wasn't a surprise, but God, my goodness, that was fun.
He squats like 500 pounds.
And now he's still throwing 100 and something. He's got the nastiest breaking ball. You're not hitting that stuff if he's putting it where he wants it.
Is he better now than he was 5 years ago?
I haven't followed it close enough game in and game out to say, but he when he was on, which he was after the first two batters, he's more unhittable than he ever was because he's more polished and he's got better breaking stuff.
In my experience, only one pitcher had the sound being that much different. Some guy named Nolan Ryan when he was with the Mets.
Yeah, I didn't see him pitch live, but I would say he did. Did Randy Johnson?
Never saw him live.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost hard to explain. You could literally, the ball sounded different when it popped.
Well, none of that, but I wasn't expecting it. And all of a sudden it was like, whoa, what's that? And by the way, Gene, we were in the upper deck. It's all I could afford.
I just thought this is a freak that's doing this 6 years after he started.
You know what? He might be doing it 5 years from now.
The way he looks fit, the way he looks, he might be.
Boston already signed him for next year.
Boston's smart.
Yes, they are smart. Gene, fun conversation. Thank you, Pally. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Happy anniversary, said you. Judy must be a saint, so I'm going to say happy anniversary.
Thank you. Do you think you're the first to say that Judy's a saint?
No, I'm not.
You think you're the 50th?
But there's probably a whole lot of people said that I don't even know Judy, but I know you, so Judy's a saint. So anyway.
Get out of here. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
You too, man. Gene Abel.
Bye-bye.
Wonderful. Retired sports editor of the Lexington Herald later. Eric Ashon coming up next. He did it again. He got his dig in at the end, didn't he?
He did. He's very good at that.
He's very good. He's very good at throwing a compliment. And as he said that, I really had my antennas up, like, where's it coming? And then when he said it, I should have anticipated it.
He's surgical with his placement of the digs.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it. He is surgical. Well, way before he was a sports editor, Gene was a hell of a columnist. So he's a wordsmith. There's no question about it. I'm a big mouth, and he's a wordsmith. Would you say that's very apropos and accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very well said.
Thank you very much. Terry Page. Terry Page. Hey, go to naturalhealingandpainrelief.com and you can get sign up for a free phone call, 10, 15 minutes. Talk to Terry about what you need. She will talk to you about what she can do to help you. She's a healer. She's a massage therapist. She breaks it down and loosens things up when muscles and all kinds of injuries happen. She's helped me tremendously. 859-373-0578. 859-373-0578. First couple days of the week in Butler, Kentucky. Rest of the week here in Lexington. Use my name, 859-373-0578. Aaron Gashon coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal! 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Boo! Brett, what are you doing? I'm getting ready for Halloween. Well, it looks like your costume's ready, but what about your candy?
Well, you know, Dad and Uncle Rick, at Clark's Pep Shop, we have some spooky deals. All month long, you can pick up 5-hour energy shots, 2 for $4.99, or Rolade sticks, buy one, get one free.
No tricks, all treats this October. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quattro Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal! 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. We'll be hooking up with Aaron Gershon in the next minute or so. I haven't talked to him since he left. I think I've teased him a couple times in text messages because he sent a picture, Jimmy, of Florida. You know Florida. You know Florida, obviously, tons better than me. And all right, let's do this. We got to figure this out. Let's take another quick break. We'll be right back with Aaron Gershon. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal! 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Great selection of snacks is holding steady while the drive-thru service is rounding out the pack.
Get in the winner's circle with Clark's Pump and Shop. Stop by and pick up 5-hour energy shots, 2 for $4.99, or Rolade sticks, buy one, get one free. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Yeah. I'm going to call him a traitor. Former outstanding reporter covering Kentucky for the Cat's Paws, Aaron Gershon, is a traitor, and he went to the other edge. Okay, Jimmy, can you give him a call while we're on?
He is joining back. I didn't want him to not be there right when you were finishing, but he's back in now.
Oh, he's back in now.
We almost had perfect timing.
Oh, look at this. Okay.
I leave and you have a fancy background. What's going on?
Look at this. Look at this. Anybody on YouTube now, what's our YouTube address? We don't push it. We should. We don't.
ESPN Sports Lexington, 1300.
Okay, so Aaron goes to Florida. He's wearing sunglasses. You've never worn sunglasses doing my show, but now you're just Joe Cool in Florida. You probably wear sunglasses 24 hours a day. Look, that was criminal of you and cruel to show me the picture of the beautiful sun in Florida and how well you're doing and all. I'm happy for you, but I could have thrown a pie in your face when you sent the picture.
Yeah, can't complain living down here too much. Working hard, though. I'm on my way to work right now, but, it's all over. He said he wanted me on. I miss you guys, and thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, it's good to hear your voice. Okay, tell everybody exactly your title and where you're at, and then we'll get into Kentucky.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the sports information director at New College of Florida, so we're a pretty small school in Sarasota at the NIAA level. So basically, I was brought in to kind of just elevate our brand, and so far, so good. I mean, if you could look at our socials, especially on Instagram, we're better than the school's ever seen before, and we have some teams at our level that are playing incredibly well, men's soccer and volleyball specifically. So it's been different. It's a different pace. It's very, for me at least, job-wise, it's a very fast pace, but from an athletic standpoint, it's obviously very different to the high level that Kentucky is, but it's cool to kind of tell these athletes' story, kind of boost our brand, and kind of grow this, like we say, grow this thing from the ground up. So, it's been a fun challenge, and living down here is not a bad perk either. But, I obviously love Lexington a ton, was there for 8 years. We'll be back, in December for a while. So, it's a second home to me, and, it was bittersweet the day it happened. It still is, watching you guys listening to your show all the time, watching what's going on, maybe not so fun watching the football team, but at least being in the environment, there's definitely been some missing out, but it's been fun.
Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. What would you give the Kentucky football team so far? And what do you see for the rest of the season? Aaron Gershon, former outstanding.
Grading them up?
Yeah, 1 to 10. How are they right now? And what do you see for the rest of the season?
Like a 3, probably.
3 for now? 3 for now or 3 for the rest of the season?
Maybe to go lower. Just with the schedule, man. Look, I think it's hard because defensively, I do think they are improved from last season. I think there's some issues in the secondary. DJ Waller's injury doesn't help. I don't think the safeties, Ty Bryant had the 2-pick game against Ole Miss. I don't think the safeties are tackling particularly well. That was an issue last year as well. But really now getting to kind of watch it on TV and seeing that part of it, it's even more glaring, some of the missed tackles that Ty Bryant and Jordan Lovett have had this season. But I think defensively up front, they played really well. The run defense was excellent against South Carolina. It was okay against Ole Miss. It obviously did very well against the 2 non-conference opponents, as it should. I think Alex Afari's had a great year. I think David Rayner's done some pretty good things, and so has Landon Watson. So I think the front seven defensively, and I think I tweeted it out during the South Carolina game, probably deserves better. But so, if we're grading the defense, probably a little higher than the offense, but offense, same story, different year. They just can't score enough points. And, it's not fair to Cutler Bully to. It's nice to see.
Aaron, you're cutting in and out.
Fucking 2021 offensive line, 2018 all those really good years, but I think it's better than it's been the last 3 years. I think the investments they've made up at the tackle spots and the guard and Josh Braun have been worth it. They played pretty good football, but the biggest issue on offense is, one, why aren't they just committing to the ground game that works? Like, Seth McGowan is a really good player. Probably, obviously they've had really good running backs almost every year, but definitely way better than anything they ever had at the position in the 2024 season. So every time he touches the ball, it feels like a big play potential. And Dante Doel, the same thing. I mean, he's done a really nice job when he's in there. Why are they not? And the way they ran the ball down South Carolina's throats in on that first drive, and even that second drive of the game in Columbia last week, I just don't get why you don't just commit to it. I know it becomes predictable, blah, 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 but there's just, especially when, it was 10-7 when the first defensive touchdown happened for South Carolina. There was no reason to shy away from it there. So that's been frustrating from a play calling standpoint and a philosophy standpoint. And then, honestly, I don't even know how to really assess Cutter Bully with what he's working with that wide receiver. Like, the tight ends are Willie Rodriguez is a very good player, made a really nice play in that game. Josh Caddis looks a lot stronger this year, which is good to see, but man, the wide receivers are bad. Like, I have no other word. They're bad. They're just playing bad football. And, it's a tough recipe to have success in this league if you're not going to have good wide receiver play. Doesn't need to be, we've seen Kentucky win 10 games in 2018 with that wide receiver room. I know they had Lynn Bowden there, but outside of that, there wasn't much there. And Lynn was still kind of coming into his own a little bit. 2021, obviously we know what Wan'Dale Robinson did to elevate that room, but you got to kind of pick apart the rest of that room. There wasn't much there. So even if you just had one big time receiver, I think that changes things, but they haven't been able to get the ball to Kendrick Law. Maybe that's his fault. Jamori Macklin has not had nearly as an impact as I thought he would coming back. And none of the freshmen have even played, and Hardly Gilmore's kind of been a non-factor. So I think that's the biggest issue with this football team. There are a lot of issues, but I think the biggest issue when you're going to point to a position group is the wide receivers are terrible.
Here's my take.
Yep.
I said this a couple weeks ago. We haven't talked.
Yep.
Wideouts are terrible. So what I would do and you know what? Why would I keep on saying this? I've said this for years. Why would a great wide receiver who's not from the state of Kentucky come to play here when you don't throw the ball? Really, somebody from Florida who's a 5-star is going to consider Kentucky? It doesn't make any sense. So you can't be surprised. So Stoops is a running coach, so he brought in 2 really, really big time transfers here. So this is what I would do. I would play 3 tight ends all the time. All the time. And I would have one of them as a fullback blocking. And they might be 4 or 5 deep, and you're going to have to rotate guys. And I don't give a crap if the defense knows that it's coming, because at that point, that's your strength. Now, the other thing is, and I've talked to football guys, all of a sudden there's going to be 8 guys in the box. That never threatened me, because if you go off tackle with a slant and you actually get a hole, it's really tough to tackle that person. That doesn't mean you're going to get an 80-yard run, but a 3-yard run might turn into a 7 to 9-yard run. And I'm looking at this team, and I really think I'm smarter than they are. And by the way, that's not me bragging.
Feels that way.
Yeah, it really does. Go to your strength. You got tight ends. Guess what? Let them block. Let them block, because look, when a tight end ends up in a mismatch on a DB, the weakest tight end in Kentucky is going to win that battle. And if that creates a hole, I don't care. Look, everybody knew Lynn Bowden was running, and he still ran. And so the wideouts are no good. You got tight ends. Say, I'm going to play smash mouth football. I'm going to punch you in the mouth, and we're going to surprise some people. And guess what? The game becomes shorter, and you're taking the strength for Mark Stoops. And for the life of me, I cannot figure out. Look, I have a simple rule. If I think I'm smarter than a coach, they have troubles. And I think I am smarter. I'm serious. Not all the time. Punch him in the mouth.
I don't know if you've thought this out. I'm sure you're listening to the press conferences a lot closer than I am. I've tried to listen every now and then. This is like the most, and this is the buzzword with the fan base right now, but it feels press conferences for 7 years. He seems kind of apathetic. Like, he seems like he's kind of just throwing his hands up there. Like, we keep hearing the broken record of we're not built that way. Like, then build it that way. Like, what do you mean? You've been saying it for 3 years. He's talking after they get absolute, what was the final score? 35-13, something like that. You just get dog walked by a South Carolina team. I think they have a really good quarterback, really, really elite quarterback. They have one elite pass rusher. I don't think they're very good outside of that. The results prove it. They barely beat Virginia Tech, who's a joke, and then they lose. I know Vandy's having a nice year, but lose by 3 possessions there. They lose to Missouri on the road at Missouri. Like, that's not a – you didn't – it's a team that is kind of – if there's anyone in the SEC in your weight class, one of them, maybe with Arkansas and a couple others. And he's talking after the game about how he's like, oh, we're a much better football team. We showed it at times. I'm like, when? When did you show it? The first drive? Outside of that, I didn't see it. So it just seems he's almost throwing his hands up and doesn't know what to say anymore. He knows what's kind of a problem.
Yeah, Aaron, we're having trouble
in Tennessee coming up in the next 3.
Aaron, I've got to cut this off. Aaron, I got to cut this off because where you're driving, we're losing too many of your words. So I don't know if you can hear me. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Let's do it again when we get a better connection.
Okay.
Appreciate you, buddy. Aaron Gashon with the sunglasses in Florida. I'm surprised he doesn't have a better tan. Seriously. Hey, Zoom is a beautiful thing. Sometimes driving doesn't work, but his thoughts were really good. And he said the wide receivers are bad, and they are. Jimmy, I'm not trying to be a pompous you-know-what. I know some people accuse me of that, and I have no problem with that, by the way. But I've been saying this for weeks. Doesn't it make sense to play 3 tight ends? That's your strength. And your running backs are your strength. So there's 8 guys in a box. But if you can get through that first wall, there's some pretty good runs there. I'm not suggesting they're going to have all these 80-yard runs. That'd be stupid. Do I think they could have a 2-yard run that'll turn into a 7-yard run? A lot, by the way. A lot. And I think that's the way to go based upon the talent that's on the roster at this moment. Agree, disagree?
Agree. If you're going to be a quote-unquote methodical team, don't just put a toe in the water. Go all the way in. Go jumbo package. Don't try to dress it up and still go out of the gun. No, smash mouth football. If that's your team, then do it.
You have been agreeing with me so much. You usually do, but so strongly, I'm beginning to worry about you.
Me too.
I understand. Matthew and Jimmy tomorrow at 10. I'll be back at noon. Brad Taylor coming up next. Aaron Gashon, thank you, pal. Gene Abel, thank you, pal. John Hale, always good. I know I put you on the spot with some questions that aren't normal for someone who covers the team. But you know what? He was pretty smooth handling everything, wasn't he?
He was. Didn't skip a beat.
No, John doesn't skip a beat. One of our guests tomorrow will be the one, the only Christian Alt, the only Van Hiles, and maybe somebody else. Thank you for tuning in. The show will be up in a couple of minutes, whether you're listening tonight or tomorrow or live anywhere in the country. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you can listen anywhere in the world on the ESPN Sports Lexington app. Have yourself a blessed day. Honored and pleased that you're spending part of your precious day with us. Alan Cutler.